Welcome back to the RabbiSmith.org Passover series. I'm really happy you're here. I hope this is inspiring you and bringing you to new insights on Passover that you can share with your family, your friends, your neighbors. And if you are Jewish, of course, I want to encourage you to make a Passover Seder if you're not doing so already. And if you are not Jewish, then make sure to take these lessons to heart to see how they apply to you, and also encourage all your Jewish friends to make a Passover Seder, because it is so essential to go through the process of being able to experience exactly what slavery is like, to open our minds up to what slavery is like then and now, and also to understand what redemption is then and now. And what I want to bring out in this recording is the transformation that happens in the world when we as the Jewish people speak clearly and truthfully to the world. And we see that the Shabbos before Passover is called Shabbos HaGodol, which means the great Shabbos. Now, every Shabbos is great. So what's so special and great about this Shabbos, the Shabbos before Passover, is that this is the Shabbos, this is the day, corresponds to the 10th day of the month of Nisan. It commemorates the miracle that happened on the 10th day of the month of Nisan, when the Jewish people took the lambs and they announced to their non-Jewish neighbors, to the Egyptians, they said that they're going to be slaughtering these lambs in 4 days' time, and God is going to bring a plague against the firstborn and kill all the firstborn of Egypt. This very act of taking the sheep, which is the idolatry of the Egyptians, was something that prompted and provoked all the non-Jews to ask, what's going on? What are you doing? And the Jews answered with confidence and said, this is what we are going to be doing by command of God Almighty. This is what He's instructed us to do. Now, the end result was that the result of that was that the non-Jewish firstborn sons did not, God forbid, attack the Jewish people. In fact, they were so inspired by what the Jewish people were doing that they realized that the time was now to take action to change the course of Egyptian history. They went to their fathers, they went to the Paro, the king of Egypt, and they said, let the Jewish people go. Clearly, they are on the side of history, that God Almighty wants to take them out of Egypt. God Almighty has sent us enough messages to wake up, to realize that there's more than just a natural order, that Egyptian culture is corrupt, Egyptian science is corrupt, Egyptian philosophy is corrupt, Egyptian immorality is corrupt, the whole thinking of Egypt is corrupt. It is a descent from human beings, and rather, it's time to let the Jewish people go so that mankind could progress to a higher level of understanding. Mankind could progress to a greater connection to God Almighty, to the God Almighty that's beyond nature. And when their fathers, when the leadership, the elite of Egypt refused, those firstborn sons did not suffice and say, well, what could we do? There's nothing we could do. We've tried our best, and they did not suffice with that. In fact, they took up weapons and they made war against the government of Egypt. And they said that we will not tolerate this. We want to take over control of Egypt to be on the right track. We want to reset the course of Egypt instead of being the mindset of these few backwards elite that have limited thinking and scarcity mentality and are stuck in their ways in a way of bringing destruction to everybody. Rather, they wanted to free up Egypt, to bring Egypt to a new and better life, a better and abundant life, a life of connection to God Almighty, and let the Jewish people go to do their job, which is to go to Mount Sinai and receive the Torah on Mount Sinai. So this is the courage that they had, and as a result, they took this action. Ultimately, it led to a lot of both sides losing a lot of lives, and they were unfortunately not successful in being able to take over the Egyptian government. But it was a miracle nonetheless that this is the transformation that happened, that they were willing to stand up and give up their lives to provoke and bring about a change for the better for Egypt and all human beings. And so this was in response to the leadership and the bravery of the Jewish people. When the Jewish people said, we are going to follow God's command, When the Jewish people moved out of the attitude of saying that they wanted to be like the Egyptians, that they wanted to pay homage to the Egyptian culture, that they wanted to pay homage to the Egyptian science, they wanted to pay homage to the Egyptian philosophy and to the Egyptian government, and just say, well, whatever you say, that's what the Jewish people are going to agree to. That thinking enslaved not only the Jews, but it enslaved all the Egyptians. Requires the leadership of the Jewish people to stand up and say what's true and say, no, this is not the right direction. You're not going in the right direction. You are not going in the right direction by thinking about idolatrous thoughts, by thinking about scarcity, by promoting that, by enslaving people. That is not the right direction. And that clarity of the Jewish people in taking that idolatry of Egypt and making it clear. Remember, they didn't do it just in 1 second, and they didn't run and get the lamb and then slaughter it on the spot. They did it in a way that there would be time for the Egyptians to ask, be time for people to take stock of what the Jews were doing. Because the Jews were confident to know that their leadership responsibility was to send a message to the non-Jews that the way to be relieved from physical slavery is to first leave spiritual slavery. And therefore, that is the lesson for our times. Our lesson is that we need to speak clearly. We need to speak with the clarity of saying, no, we do not agree to follow all the ideologies and all the false ideologies and all the arrogant ideologies that somehow people have, that they allege that they, in their falsehoods and in their perverted thinking, that somehow man has reached the highest pinnacle by taking God out of the picture and limiting their thinking to human logic. That is actually the greatest descent of humanity. Mankind is on his highest level when he is connected to God Almighty, when he sees the divine, when he discusses the divine, when he uses his power of speech to speak about the divine, and to speak about godliness, and to speak about how every human being is created in God's image, and to speak about how there's no such thing as a useless human being. In reality, every human being is vitally important and precious and created in God's image, and everyone is essentially necessary. So that's where we need to take humanity in that direction, and we, as the Jewish people, have that responsibility. When we take that responsibility to heart and we speak in that way, then we will cause an awakening of the non-Jewish people, that they will say, wow, that exactly is right. Yes, that makes sense. It doesn't make sense, all the stubborn, ideological, and corrupt idolatrous scarcity thinking that has become a part of the fabric of society, tragically. On the contrary, we need to now extract ourselves from that, they'll say. And we now need to turn over the entire government, the entire educational system, the entire way of life, to make God front and center of every person's life, from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep, through every part of their day. That is the centrality of every part of life, both the individual life, the family life, the communal life, the national life, and life in the world as a whole. Every person is focused on God Almighty. What is God's will for me at this moment in time? How does God want me to conduct myself? That is what happens when the Jewish people speak up clearly and speak in the words of God Almighty, speak the words of Moses, our teacher, speak the words of the Torah, and that brings about an incredible and massive change in the world that will bring about the ultimate redemption now in our times, today. Subscribe below, and don't forget to sign up at rabbismith.org, and we'll see you at the next video. Happy and kosher Passover.